William, hopefully your favorite videographer from Two Hats Publishing. I welcome you to another Two Hats special of community events. Let's look in and see what's really happening.
Well, good evening, happy historians, and welcome to the Dallas Way. At this time, will you please welcome your charming, brilliant, handsome host for the evening, Mr. Paul J. Williams. Thank you. Welcome to this historic evening this evening. Hi. Well, there you go. Oh, there it is. That's nice. I'm so glad that you guys came to be a part of this evening, and you can turn me down just a little bit so that I don't sound like I'm... There you go. Oh, he's back. Oh. Smile and look pretty. Oh, thank you. I have been looking forward to this evening for quite a long time, simply because I am thrilled that our guest speaker is here tonight to tell her story. Over 25 years ago, a young woman applied for a job to be a Dallas police officer. She passed her instruction courses with flying colors. But then the Dallas Police Department told her they wouldn't hire her because she admitted to being a lesbian. She sued them, and what follows this evening is the focus of why we are here. The Dallas Way wants us all to go beyond the simple business of archiving our LGBT history, but also to use that history to devise a better future for our community, to debate, to hear one another, to organize, to preserve, and revive precious things. Now, in light of that, I want to make you all aware that during the month of June, the Dallas Way and the City of Dallas have organized to do a Dallas LGBT history exhibit at the Dallas City Hall. The opening of that exhibit and the unveiling of the pride flag will take place on Thursday, June the 1st, from noon until 1. And this will be in the lobby of City Hall. If you can come down there, please join us. So to begin our evening, I would like to welcome to the stage America's first Latina lesbian sheriff. You may have seen her at the Democratic National Convention this past summer, but here she is, Lupe Valdez.
You're going to give me a big head if you keep doing that. Maybe it'd be the only way you see me over the side. You know, I heard about an officer. Can I do this? Yeah. Great. I just take the mic. I heard about an officer who was working traffic and said, "Go ahead, I can almost see you." Was working traffic on 75, and he pulled over a car that was full of nuns. And he starts to explain to her that he was giving her a ticket because she was speeding. And she says, "But officer, I'm not speeding. It says right there, 75. And he says, no ma'am, that is the highway, that is not the speed." And he looks back in the car, and there's all these trembling nuns. And he goes, there was about 3 trembling nuns there, and he says, "What's wrong with them?" And the nun replies, "Well, according to what you just told me, I must have just gotten off 121. So they were having a very frightening time. Anyway, in 1990, I was a federal agent working for a now defunct agency called U.S. Customs. Because back then, they didn't have too many Spanish speakers. And as agents, I was in and out of town quite a bit, going to different parts of the U.S. doing what federal agents do. So I often only got bits and pieces of what was going on in the city. I was aware of DPD's lie detector question because several of my friends at the then GLBT Metropolitan Community Church would talk about how they passed the test with the question. Of course, the question asks, are you a practicing lesbian or a practicing gay? And some of my friends would say, this is how we pass the test. We said no. In our mind, we said, we don't practice, we're pretty good at it. Then several of the people that were in the department would discuss several ways of doing this that would obtain an opportunity for others to serve. And of course, they could never talk. They had to lie to do the job they loved if they passed the test and became an officer. And of course, they could never talk about the person they loved, as all the other officers could. They had to live a lie, and always with the fear of being discovered. Then one person came in and said, I'm not lying. I want to be an officer and served honestly and trustfully just as I am. Oddly enough, we find that many departments who do this also would hide their officers who did other things, domestic abuse, aggregated behaviors, and all the officers knew about it, but everybody looked the other way. I would come in and hear what was happening, and I often got scared. I'd come into town and hear all of this. At lunch today, Mica and I discussed how many of the gays and lesbians who are already in the department reacted to her. And I understand. And I understand that the comments were, are you gonna ruin it for me? I already made it. Are you gonna get me fired? I'm safe now. What are you doing? I'm going to lose my livelihood. I'm sure that many, just as I did, knew gay and lesbian officers in DPD, but everybody pretended not to know. I was a scared young federal agent, and I heard that Barney Franks was coming into town and was going to be in a fundraiser. I was quite economically challenged for that fundraiser, but I scrambled up the amount that was needed, and I went in with the sole purpose of talking to Barney Franks. If you recall, Barney Franks was a congressman who was outed and then still continued to win while he was in Congress. I told him that I was a federal treasury agent and asked if I would be fired for being a lesbian. He took my card and stated that he would get back to me. He went and talked to the Treasury Secretary and called me back. He said that I could never be fired for being lesbian, but be careful, they will fire you for something else. And we all know what that meant. Needless to say, I remained closeted for quite a while. I continued to hear about what was happening with Mica, and I continued to hope that she would be successful. Later, I decided I couldn't be closeted anymore. But I can tell you that one of my heroes has always been Mica England, because she had the guts to do what a lot of us didn't have the guts to do at that time. Mica challenged the system, and we are all better for it, to the point where now the highest ranking law enforcement in this county is a member of the LGBTQ community. I can't tell you what an honor it is for me to introduce you to Mica. Let's give a big Texas welcome back to a better and different Dallas, to Mica England. read this. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Hello, Dallas. Good evening. Thank you for the introduction, Sheriff Valdez, and thank you to the Dallas Way and Robert Emery for inviting me here, and Paul Williams for acting as Master of Ceremony. I'm going to tell you a story. For me, it is very emotional and continues to be. Please bear with me. I grew up in a small conservative town, Oologah, Oklahoma. My family has a history of law enforcement and military service. My great-grandfather, Eugene England, was the sheriff in Stigler, Oklahoma. My great-uncle was a police officer in McAllister, and my father, William England, a master sergeant in the Air Force. I suppose this is why I was interested in law enforcement early in high school. Growing up in a small town was difficult as a lesbian. There was no one to talk to, and everyone was too afraid to talk about it. I tried to speak to my guidance counselor in high school. She stood up and pointed at the door and said, "Get out." I experienced discrimination and ignorance while very young. After I graduated from high school, I worked in Tulsa, but would travel to Dallas. I like Dallas because it was a more sophisticated city. I also felt a sense of welcome and freedom in Dallas. I really liked the LGBTQ community and thought about living in Dallas. I wanted to live openly and not worry about discrimination. So in 1987, I traveled to Dallas to apply to the Dallas Police Department. I was 23 years old. There are several steps to applying to the Dallas Police Department. First, you fill out the application and sign a waiver. The second part of the process is a preliminary interview with the recruiter. Third, there is a written examination. Fourth, you have a physical agility test. The fifth part of the application process is a psychological evaluation. And lastly, a polygraph. I passed all the required tests except for the polygraph. So this is what happened. As I was filling out the application, I came across question number 14. Have you ever committed a deviant sex act? I had to ask the recruiter what their definition of a deviant sex act was. I didn't understand why that question was on the application. The recruiter told me that being gay or lesbian is deviant. I answered no on the application, and during the polygraph, when I was asked, have you ever committed a deviant sex act, I said no, even though I knew that was the wrong answer based on the Dallas Police Department definition. So I failed the polygraph. Being judged because of question number 14 made me very nervous. I felt ashamed, even though I had done nothing wrong. I returned to Tulsa very distraught, realizing once again I had been discriminated against. If you are disqualified, you can reapply in 1 year. I waited 2 years because of things going on in my life at that time. You need a full week for testing for the department. During these 2 years, I kept in touch with the same police recruiter I had interviewed with in 1987. In 1989, I called to speak with her. She informed me that they would be in Tulsa taking applications for the Dallas Police Department. I met with the recruiters in Tulsa and reapplied. The recruiter asked why I was disqualified the first time, and I told her that I did not pass the polygraph because of question number 14. I told her that I was a lesbian. I asked the recruiter if I was going to be wasting my time. Would I be discriminated against again? There were 2 recruiters in Tulsa that day. They went into the hallway to discuss
my question about discrimination. They returned in and informed me that I would not be discriminated against and that I should come to Dallas and finish my testing. I called. I got an appointment for July 10th, 1989. I can remember the excitement I felt. I had passed all the tests before, except question number 14, and I was expecting to be honest and be hired. On Monday, July 10th, 1989, I went to Dallas Police Headquarters to start the application process at 8 o'clock a.m. I was very nervous and excited. My appointment was with the same recruiter I had seen in Tulsa. I signed waivers, I completed my paperwork. I met with the recruiter and we began to discuss the application process. The question, have you ever committed a deviant sex act, came up. The recruiter said being gay or lesbian is deviant. I immediately said, I strongly disagree. She escorted me to an isolated room and we began a very personal and strange conversation. I reminded her that she told me in Tulsa I would not be discriminated against. I asked why she did not tell me this during any of our phone conversations in the past 2 years. There was no answer. She asked, when was my first relationship? She asked, what do we do as far as sex? I felt I was being taunted. I was humiliated. She actually said, you are less of a person because you are a lesbian. The recruiter tried to get me to admit that I had just actually experimented and that I was not actually a lesbian. I felt that if I had agreed with her that I only experimented with the same sex, that I was not really a lesbian, I feel I could have proceeded to the next part of the test. This would have defeated who I am. So I firmly stated, I am a lesbian, and I do not want to live a lie. The recruiter left the room and returned with a folder. She said she had a document that outlined the Dallas Police Department policy. This policy disqualified me because I openly and willingly admitted I was a lesbian. I asked to review the document. I was refused this request. Again, the recruiter left the room, and this time she came back with Sergeant Ward. The sergeant said it was the policy of the police department not to hire homosexuals, and there are no exceptions to these department rules or regulations. The policy of the police department was based on statute 2106. I had never heard of this law. Statute 2106 states, number 1, a person commits an offense if he or she engages in deviant sexual intercourse with another individual of the same sex. And number 2, an offense under this section is a Class C misdemeanor. I asked again if I could review the policy, and the sergeant refused. I requested to speak with someone of higher authority and turn in a complaint. The sergeant said that I would have to make an appointment to make a complaint. After being denied repeated requests to file a complaint, I left the room. The sergeant followed me out into the lobby. It was 9:30 a.m. In an hour and a half, my life was shattered. My dream of becoming a Dallas police officer was over. I persisted, continuing to try to speak with Captain Joe Ferguson in the personnel department. I wanted to turn in my written complaint. No one would take my written complaint that I had been discriminated against. I left several hours later. I felt defeated, humiliated, hurt, angry, and disappointed. On my way out of the building in tears, I took the equal opportunity poster off the bulletin board. I recognized that the Dallas Police Department was not an equal opportunity employer. I was so upset Monday night. I did not sleep the entire night. I went through the government pages of the phone book. I was looking for organizations to call to ask for help. I wanted to be a Dallas police officer, and I knew this discrimination was wrong. I was going to fight for my right to be a Dallas police officer. At 8 o'clock a.m. Tuesday morning, July 11th, 1989, I went back downtown to the Dallas Police Headquarters to turn in my complaint. Again, I asked to speak to Captain Joe Ferguson of the Personnel Department to turn in my complaint. I was told the captain was in a meeting. Yeah, I could see him at his desk. So I was making phone calls from my notes from the night before. I called the Dallas Gay Alliance. Karen Estes answered the phone. She said William Wayburn, the president of the Dallas Gay Alliance, would be interested in my situation and to call back. I called back after being glared at and gawked at all morning by the Dallas Police Department employees and many police officers. When I did call back and spoke to William, he said he would meet me at Dallas Police Department headquarters to help me turn in my complaint. I felt so relieved to have help, and that someone finally was not ignoring me. At 11:15 that day is when I first met William Wayburn. We began to try to turn in my written complaint. We went to the Executive Chief Stafford's office, but Chief Stafford would not take my complaint. He made an appointment with Captain Joe Ferguson of the Personnel Department to speak with us. Captain Joe Ferguson again refused to take my complaint. He only wanted to know who were the officers in Tulsa that I spoke with. So we went to the office of Assistant City Manager A.C. Gonzalez. Mr. Gonzalez told us that the Dallas Police Department does not discriminate. Clearly he was wrong. He did not take my complaint either. His main concern also, who were the recruiters in Tulsa. So William and I continued my desire to turn in my written complaint. We went to Sergeant Ward. We were not able to turn in my complaint. The Dallas Gay Alliance attorney met William and me at police headquarters. Then we were sent to Deputy Chief John Chappelle. Finally, at 4:15 that afternoon, I was able to turn in my written complaint that I had been discriminated against. On Wednesday, July 12, 1989, William Wayburn asked me if I would be interested in speaking at the city council meeting. I said yes. I wanted to speak up about this discrimination. I know we all know how discrimination feels. Standing at the podium in the city council chamber, I was not on the agenda to speak at the city council meeting, so I was required to speak about the topic the city council chose. The topic was Tiananmen Square. I stated, I think the lack of democracy in China is awful, and what is happening to their students is horrific. But I'm here to discuss the lack of democracy in your city. I held up the equal opportunity poster that I took off the bulletin board at police headquarters. I said, this poster is a lie. You're not equal opportunity employers. Since I was not on the agenda, the city council could not publicly discuss the issue of discrimination or the police hiring policy. So Mayor Annette Strauss and all of the city council members left the council chambers, walked into a meeting room, into executive session. Later, the mayor and council members returned to the council chambers. Legally, they could not discuss the police hiring policy because I was not on the agenda. They said they would have to get back to me. In previous years, I had been planning on moving to Dallas. I really loved it here. So while pursuing my employment with the Dallas Police Department, I had been looking for employment as a chef and looking for an apartment. I wanted to continue to pursue employment with the Dallas Police Department and fight the discrimination issue and the statute 2106 that the discrimination was based on. In 1989, I moved to Dallas and began working as a chef and continued to do what I needed to do to get a police job. January of 1990, I was put on the agenda at the city council meeting to speak about the police department policy. I was going to speak to the city council one more time to give them the opportunity to do the right thing. The city council could vote to change the hiring policy. This was a crowded event. The LGBTQ community bussed supporters down to City Hall, while the Christian Coalition bussed the haters down to City Hall. They were wearing little round stickers with a line through it that said, "No homo cops." This meeting had a record-breaking attendance. People spoke to the city council past 2:00 a.m. People actually said, "Please don't allow lesbian Mica England to become a police officer." Many people spoke and asked the city council to get rid of the discriminatory policy. The mayor and some council members did not change their vote or consider changing the police policy. They said it was out of their hands. So the only thing to do next was to take them to court. William Wayburn had a relationship with the law firm Richards, Wiseman, and Durst. The firm represented the plaintiffs in the Morales case. Attorney Ed Tuddenham worked for Richard Wiseman and Durst, and Ed agreed to take my case pro bono. My attorney Ed Tuddenham filed my lawsuit in May of 1990. It is titled Mica England versus the City of Dallas, State of Texas, and Police Chief Mac Vines. We filed against the city because of the discriminatory police policy. We filed against the state of Texas because of the statute 2106 the policy was based on. And we named a person in the lawsuit. That was a requirement, so I chose Police Chief Mac Vines. William suggested to me that we should get Lambda Legal Defense Fund in New York City involved. Lambda had agreed to take my case too. Attorney Evan Wolfson from Lambda Legal Defense Fund was co-counsel with Ed Tuddenham. Lambda Legal provided us with helpful studies, materials, and information from other cases. This was important because lawsuits that have been won are cited in lawsuits currently being argued. Courts are made aware of previous rulings. My case provides this evidence for future discrimination lawsuits. So in 1992, we went to court, February 3rd that year. We won in the district court, which is the first and lowest trial court level. Judge Fuller ruled the 2106 statute was unconstitutional and the hiring policy was discriminatory. This struck down the hiring policy and the 2106 statute in the jurisdiction of the First Court of Appeals. In 1993, Dallas appealed to the 3rd District Court of Appeal, located in Austin. We also won the 3rd District Court of Appeal in Austin. In 1994, Dallas could then appeal to the Texas Supreme Court. However, a petition for rehearing must be done in a timely way, meaning the Supreme Court cannot hear an appeal if there was not a timely petition for rehearing. Dallas was 2 or 3 days late to appeal to the Texas Supreme Court. Therefore, the Supreme Court was required to dismiss the appeal. The jurisdiction of the 3rd District Court of Appeals is 24 counties. As a result, my case struck down the statute 2106 in the 24 counties covered by the 3rd Court of Appeals and 10 counties in the 1st Court of Appeals. Because of Dallas's failure to file the motion for reconsideration, the Texas Supreme Court was able to avoid the issue and limit the ruling in my favor only to the counties covered by Austin Court of Appeals and 3rd District Court and the counties in the 1st District Court. Judge Fuller ruled the Dallas police hiring policy unconstitutional in District Court. My demands in the lawsuit were, number 1, the discriminatory question number 14 be taken off the application. The result, the revised application minus question number 14 were printed in 1993. Number 2, prohibition of any questions concerning sexual preference during the interview or on the polygraph examination. The result, this was agreed. Number 3, recruitment from the LGBTQ community. The result, the community acquired a liaison from the Dallas Police Department to mediate and work with the LGBTQ community. And number 4, the city to pay me the amount I would have earned as a police officer during the time of lawsuit. The result, I was awarded part of a police officer's salary for that time period. Number 5, I asked for education in the Dallas Police Department on alternative lifestyles. The result, soon the Dallas Gay and Lesbian Alliance started sensitivity training with the Dallas Police Department. Number 6, that I be allowed to reapply to the Dallas Police Department. The result, I did reapply. For my preliminary interview this time, we did not go to the personnel office. I was taken to an interrogation room. 2 police officers were treating me like a criminal, yelling at me, twisting my words. This was intimidating and abusive. This entire time and process was arduous. I had my life threatened twice. I heard the term friendly fire several times. This was implied that I could be shot in the back by another police officer. I decided not to continue my pursuit to be a Dallas police officer. Thank you so much to all of you who supported me during my personal struggle. It mattered to me more than you know. I do want to say thank you to a few people I know. Some of them are not here, and some of them are no longer with us. My attorneys Ed Tuttenham and Evan Wolfson, thank you. Thank you to the Dallas Gay Alliance, now the Dallas Gay and Lesbian Alliance. I am so thankful to Karen Estes, who is no longer with us, for her kindness and compassion and for being there for me. Thank you, William Wayburn and Craig Spalding, Don Mason, Bruce Monroe, and Dick Weaver. I also want to thank these wonderful men who are no longer with us: John Thomas, Bill Nelson, Terry Thibodeau, and Bill Hunt. They set the foundation for the Dallas Gay Alliance. My gratitude overwhelms me. John Wimberly, I believe you're here, or not. Thank you for organizing the monumental task of starting the sensitivity training with the Dallas Police Department. While some changes have been made, we in this room and the LGBTQ community know that many more changes and many people's attitudes still need to change. We are all on a journey together, and our journey is not over. Thank you for listening.
is obviously going to be around afterwards for those of you that may want to have a moment to speak with her and ask any questions you may have about her feelings about the lawsuit. I thought if we opened it up now, we'd be here all night, and I really would like to give people an opportunity to visit with her one-on-one. I want to say a personal thank you to Mica. I moved to New York City in 1997, and Mica was living in New York, working as a private chef for a very wealthy family. We reconnected and bonded very quickly. She had always been a hero of mine for what she did. And all heroes, like me, are flawed. And I was so thrilled to be able to embrace Mica as my friend, as she was able to embrace me for all of who we are. The fact that we have gotten this far, and there are people who do not know Mica's name, who do not know what transpired in the late 80s or in the early 90s, and are unaware of what she did to make this city what it is now. It horrifies me that she has not known. And it was very important to me that Mica come back to Dallas to give the details of her story and that she not be forgotten. She also mentioned that one of the rewards of winning her legal case was the creation and implementation of sensitivity training for the Dallas police officers. Oh, I shouldn't have eaten that. Sensitivity training for the Dallas police officers to give them a better understanding of gay and lesbian people. The gentleman who created and facilitated the sensitivity training for the Dallas Police Department is John Wimberly. John, are you here? He's not, okay. So anyway, we want to identify him by name. Also, I have been informed that we have a person here that I really would like to recognize. Mica thanked and mentioned Karen Estes several times, a woman for whom many of us have great memories and great appreciation, and I would like to recognize that her sister Kathy is in the room tonight. Kathy, where are you?
Right here.
Oh, thank you, Kathy. Also, the gentleman who is instrumental in maintaining our close ties to the Dallas Police Department is also here. So I want to identify and recognize another friend of the Dallas Way and a hero to this community, Mr. Michael Doman. On a personal note, I have something at home that I have cherished since I received it in 1999. And I don't know if any of you have a copy of this. Yes. Uncommon Heroes. It was published in 1994, and it is an entire book of LGBT people who have done something to make a difference in our world. 1994, a long time ago. But on page 97 in this book is an entire spread on Mica England. I won't read the entire thing because most of it was covered, but this last paragraph, I think, is beautiful. Mica England had one desire. She wanted to be a police officer. Although she used her hard-won legal victory and applied for a position on the force, she later realized the court case had made her too well-known and her effectiveness might be compromised. Unfortunately, she abandoned the dream that had set her on her trailblazing path. But in her single-minded determination to reach a personal goal, Mica England had made Texas history, and that is no small thing. Mica, thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything that you have done and for being here to share with us, and I wish you much continued happiness. As an aside, she and her partner are getting married on May 21st. So, our final guest this evening will be telling us about the Dallas Police Department and its current relationship with the LGBT community. She has 30 years of police experience and has worked as patrol commander, homicide unit, robbery unit, and special investigations commander. She's worked in the communication department watch as a commander. She's been a narcotics unit commander, supervising undercover operations. Currently, she is the commander of Dallas Animal Services. Relating to us, her duties include management of the following events: the Allen Ross Freedom Parade, Halloween on Cedar Springs. Hold it, there's a lot. Cedar Springs Art Festival, Easter in the Park and the Pooch Parade, the Razzle Dazzle Block Party, the Women's Music Festival, and the St. Patrick's Day Block Party. Please welcome from the Dallas Police Department, Major Barbara Hobbs.
I'm going to come out here also because I don't like to stand behind wind things. So I would very much appreciate the opportunity to come here and to tell you how far along the Dallas Police Department has progressed in not only LGBTQ issues, but hopefully humanity issues and diversity issues throughout our department. If we could turn those lights down just a bit. No. So we obviously had a long way to come. And so a lot of that starts with training and the proper amount of training and the proper emphasis put on training as being important and not just something that you sit through, sleep through, read the paper through. Correct. The other part of that is, and maybe made the most significant start, was the LGBTQ liaison for the department. And picking the right person for that, or the right person coming forward and saying, I'm going to do this for you, which is basically what happened for us with Sergeant Lynn Albright. I know many of you know her. She's a great lady. She's a personal friend of mine. And she did that for many years, and it was not an easy road when she started out. But she never took no for an answer, and she moved forward regardless of the obstacles in front of her. And after a while, they learned to get out of her way because she was going there anyway. And the rest of us were watching and laughing and went along because we wanted to see the show that she was going to create for us as we move forward. So when Lynn left the department and went to Austin, the department continued on with its liaison to this LGBT community, and currently it's Laura Martin. I got in, there you go. She does a great job. And so my introduction to the community was I worked for Lynn on extra jobs in the community, the parades and the festivals and all those as an officer. And then when she was getting ready to leave and I was gaining rank within the department, she asked me to take over some of those events to ensure that they were handled properly and that, again, we would not take no for an answer, to be treated fairly and equally within the department and other departments within the city. And so I said yes, because I might not be quite as hard-headed as her, but I've been told I'm kind of hard-headed. So in 2007, right before the parade began September 2007. There was an permitting issue with the event, and at the last minute they were threatening to cancel it. So Chief Vincent Goldbeck of the Central Patrol Division, then he's retired since, asked me to, within 3 days prior to take over the management of the officers for that event. And so that was my first event that I actually led within the community, and pretty soon I got phone call after phone call, and have been very privileged to serve the community and to make sure that those events happen safely, and that we take all precautions necessary, and we have a great time and a safe and fun events for the past many years. But back to the department, we started diversity training within the academy. It was mandated first by the state, and then the department felt that we were not, that we could do better. We could do better than what the state minimum mandates were. And some of the leadership of our department, past Mac Vines, we had several different chiefs, Terrell Bolton. When Benny Click came and was our chief, we began to really look at community issues and start moving towards community policing. It was a program then, moving across the country. And believe it or not, for large departments, Dallas is very progressive. We became more progressive as years after that, but Benny Click started us down the pathway of being more open, having a more diverse department, and being serious about our training, and being serious about being open to all communities, and that diversity within our city was a strong point. Not just the words that it was a strong point, but it was a strong point, and a strength of Dallas, and made Dallas different from other communities. So when Chief Click left in the early 2000s, Chief David Kunkel came. A very brilliant man. He's extremely smart, but he also thinks way down the road. And so he was like, well, we have this program and we've started community policing, but we haven't really looked at ourselves and fully embraced the concept. Because it really goes back, community policing really goes back to the basics of knowing the people that live where you work, right? And technology sometimes gets in the way of that. So really, we had to look and say, do we really believe in this? Is it working? And it was working because crime was going down, because we were establishing a relationship with the community and building trust. But were we just doing it with the communities that were easy, or were we doing it with all of the communities? Well, Lynn had already started with the LGBTQ community, and so we looked and said, yes, we believe this is the way to police in our city. And so we fully embraced it and reached out to the communities where we had not historically done a good job. Underserved communities, communities that we treated very poorly as a policing organization, not just in Dallas, but across the country. And so the self-reflection of who do we want to be as a department? Do we want to be professional? Do we want to move forward? Do we want to be inclusive of everyone and embrace diversity? And the answer to that was, through our leadership, was yes, we do. So we began recruiting from the LGBT community, from minority communities, Hispanic communities, African American communities, Asian communities, all the communities that we were not reflective of as a police department. And so we actually, we have a lot of female officers on our department, about 17%, which you think that doesn't sound like a lot. There's only 3 departments in the one department in the country that has more than we do, and that's 18%. And another one that has 17%, and everyone's lower than that. So it's a man's world, so to speak, but we are invading them. So the police department moves forward, and we continue being more progressive and really taking to heart what we believe. So the work to build trust in communities where we have not worked before and where we didn't have it before, and frankly, we didn't treat well, was a great challenge. But luckily, we've had not just liaison officers to do that, but as our department brought on other officers and the stressing of treating people with respect and starting from that basis and moving forward. Treating people that you meet on calls or citizens as you would want your family members treated. And that's the basis from which we start building the young professional officers in our department. And of course, society is changing at the same time, right? And police departments change a little slower. We're a little conservative. So for us to move forward as quickly as I think we have, but the country has been moving faster than that, which is a good thing. And our young officers coming in now, when we talk to them and tell them stories, they look at us like we have three heads, right? Because they have no basis of judgment from the life that we've lived and the things that we've done. So I see progress every year. And you have officers now that are openly gay. They talk about their partners. They talk about their wives. Even some of the older officers that have been here even longer than I, they ask them, how's your wife? How's your husband today? So the whole culture is changing, and it takes time, but it is changing. And I truly believe that community policing not only helps the community, but I think it helps us also as police officers, because it's easy to insulate yourself, yes? And so that you don't let outside people in. And that is one of the things that does occur in law enforcement, because we're a very closed group. And when we open up and share, it's the same thing as these stories and this history that we talk about now. It allows other people to open up and share. And then we find that we all truly are the same. And that respect, caring for others, that if that's the basis of where you start everything, then we can only get better. And so as we move forward as a police department, that's the direction we go. We do intensive training for sensitivity. And people ask sometimes, how many complaints does the department get? Are they more internal or external? And I can tell you that through the history of our department, the majority of complaints against officers come through internal complaints. Other officers saying, no, that was wrong, you shouldn't do that, and then they file a complaint with their supervisor. Whether it's a formal or an informal complaint, the majority of them come internally, which I'm actually very proud of, because historically in policing, there has been a thin blue line or cover up or those type of things. So if you set your organization on a path that's unacceptable, then it continues and it even gets better. And so I think though we do have areas to grow, like anyone else in all large organizations, that we are on the right path. We had good leadership. Looking forward to seeing who our new chief of police is going to be. The last three chiefs we've had have been very progressive. Chief Brown also, Chief David Brown. And I think that their leadership has moved us significantly forward. And I'm looking forward to the next police chief that we get to continue that progress. And I believe that our young officers are going to be the leaders that we want them to be as they mature and they learn that the Dallas Police Department is much better than it has been and the history that it's been. And we can make our history better by doing the right thing and being part of the community.
Thank you, Major Hobbs. So nice to speak to a police officer and not be in trouble. Who said I wasn't? Oh, that's irritating. All right. All right, so Major Hobbs, were there any other police officers here that you know of?
I can't see for the light.
Are there any other Dallas police officers here? Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Left me all alone.
Okay. I would like to, because we've got a perfect opportunity for a photo op here, but I want to talk to you from the heart about what the Dallas Way does. Mica and I talk at least once a week, once every other week, and we both realized that this was a big anniversary. This year is the 25th anniversary of the filing of the case. Now we'll have another one when it was actually resolved in 2 more years. But we wanted an opportunity for Mica to tell her story so that it doesn't get forgotten. And I'm so grateful that my closest friend, Robert Embry, stepped up to the plate and said this would be a perfect opportunity with the Dallas Way. As I'm hoping many of you, or most of you know, the Dallas Way is preserving the Dallas LGBT history, is working in conjunction with the University of North Texas to digitize all of our history in an archive so that none of these stories will be forgotten as the years go by, and that people will know what others went through for us to have the community that we have. However, all of this doesn't just happen, and this is taking money to get all of this digitized. And I hope that after hearing Mica's story tonight and seeing what the Dallas Way does, you will consider making a donation to the Dallas Way. And I'm very thrilled to say that we have already received a $1,000 commitment this evening towards the Dallas Way. Don't feel you need to top that, but don't fight the urge if you do. So at this time, I would like to bring to the stage Mica and Lupe Valdez and Major Hobbs. And we're going to move the podium back so that we can do a photo op here. So oh, Randy, you're so helpful. Such a man. I say in a pink jacket, such a man. Also, I mentioned the sensitivity training that was started by John Wimberly. I am so glad to know that it is currently being done by Patty Fink. Patty, are you here? There you are. And you also do this for the fire department, fire and rescue? Dallas Fire and Rescue as well. Fabulous. Thank you, man. Now, what you see right here is history being made. Thanks to what Mica England did. You get the rest. I want to get a few pictures of them, and then any other Dallas Way board members in a moment, if you would come to the stage. Please back up, Paul, you're in the picture. Pink is the navy blue of India, okay? I'm just saying. No pressure, Mica. Look natural. Mica is currently living in Sarasota, Florida, where she is a private chef there. Thank you. All right, board members, if you are here, please come up and gather around these ladies so we can memorialize this with a photograph. Mica, your hair got so blonde. Is that natural? It's made from natural products. It's bleached by the Florida sun, right? Can you fit us in, or do we need to move in? No, hold your stomach. Yeah, right. That's a given.
You can only hold it so long.
I really don't look good from the side. Are we good? All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for supporting the Dallas Way. Sherry Briggs is going to have a bowl should you decide you want to give something to the Dallas Way. This is tax deductible. And Lupe is ordering David Taffet around. This is kind of hot. I want us out of the picture. Wouldn't it be great if these three ladies were one of 9 in Washington, D.C.? How do you look in black robes? Lupe, oh, there's still more. All right, everybody, that is the end of our program. Thank you for being here. And let's hear it one more time for Mica England.
This is William, hopefully your favorite videographer from Two Hats Publishing. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like it, please leave comments below, or like, follow, or subscribe to us and get notices of all our videos. We love it, even when you call.